Hi everyone, Grant K here for the Flame Premium Learning channel. In this video, we'll go through the workflow of relinking a sequence to media that has been moved to a different location. This can happen anywhere where the media is being externally managed. Perhaps someone moved the media to different directories, or maybe the project has been transferred to another facility with a different file path. In any situation, it is possible to use the editable metadata in the Conform Event List to quickly redirect the file paths to point to the media. This technique works with all formats, either image sequences or movie file formats. You can use your own media and sequences to follow along. So starting off, you have a sequence that has been edited or conformed in Flame Premium. When you Alt-click on any segment, you will see the file path for the particular media files. In my example, I am using ProRes Media, but as I said, this works for every supported format in the Flame products. Now let's look at this metadata in the Conform Event List. Switch to the Conform area. If you don't see any information in the event list, you need to right-click on the clip in the media panel and open it as a sequence. So you can see that each entry has loads of metadata associated to it. If you scroll the event list, you can reveal loads more columns. This includes the file location. This current location allows all the segments in the sequence to link to the media. I would just like to point out that most of the file paths is common throughout the sequence. For example, you may have a facility directory that contains a job directory that contains a format directory. Within the format directory, you'll have multiple shot directories to manage and break down each shot. So the beginning part of this file path is the same, and it changes at the end. I'll bring this up again when we are relinking back to the media. Now let's set the scenario. Whether the project is restored elsewhere or media has been moved, the same issue will occur. So I'll intentionally move some of my media to a new location. Upon returning back to the sequence, we get an interesting situation. Scrubbing the time bar, the first clip in my sequence is still there, but the rest of the segments have checkerboarded in the viewer. So the first segment's media was not moved and remains linked to the sequence. The other media is missing, but the segments in the sequence still believe that they are linked to something. And if you were to put the media back in the same location, then the media will appear in the viewer. In this case, we know that the media will not go back to the same location and it needs to be relinked. This is a typical example of a partially linked sequence that you may be faced with. The first step in the workflow is to unlink the sequence so that all the segments stop looking at their original file paths. Go to the Conform area and ensure the clip is open as a sequence to see the entries in the event list. As I mentioned earlier, the event list reflects that every entry is linked to its media according to the Flame database. Whatever happens outside of the Flame products is not managed by the application. So let's unlink everything and start again. Select all the entries in the list, or press Ctrl-A. Right-click on a segment, choose Media, and select Unlink. Click Confirm to perform the unlink operation. In case you think you've made a mistake, the unlink operation is undoable, so there is no need to worry. Now, by unlinking the whole sequence, you have also unlinked any media that might have still been correctly referenced to the segments. Take the first shot of my sequence as an example. This is not a problem, because the metadata of all the segments still remember their original file location in the event list. You could have gone through the sequence and manually selected each segment to unlink, but that would have been so painful and time-consuming. This unlinking everything and relinking again is much quicker. So the next step in the workflow is to start relinking. To start, we'll perform a relink to the same file paths again, and any media still in the original location should link. Select all the entries in the event list. Click the pull-down menu and choose Link to Media File. This will use all the existing metadata and try to link to the media. So straight away, all the media that was still in the original location is linked to the segments. All the other entries are still flagged as unlinked. This means the event list can search locations for the missing media. Enable the Hide Linked button to ensure you don't disturb any linked media. Now this media was moved from one location to another. The shot directory structure was kept for sanity's sake, but the initial file path is different. If I call up a terminal window or a file browser, here are all the shot directories containing the media. Now you can use any technique you know, but call up the current file path. So this is the new location of all the media. Select the file path and copy it to memory. Coming back into the application, go to the event list and scroll to the File Location column. Ensure all the entries are selected and click on any of the entries. Now have a closer look at the text string before we make any changes. Most of this file path is consistent for every selected entry. But when it comes to the shot directories, they are wildcard asterisks scattered in the directory name. This means that the event list is aware of the differences in each shot directory. The important part is that these names will also be maintained as long as you don't edit this section. So go ahead and select the section of the file path that contains the shot directories. Now paste the new file path into the text string. Once again, you must not edit the wildcard strings, otherwise the different shot directories will not be maintained. Now press Enter to confirm the changes. As soon as you do this, the event list rescans all the file paths and finds a match. This is all selection-based. So if your media is located in multiple locations, you can select one or more entries and change the file paths for the selection as many times as you want. Just remember, when the event list finds a match, you need to click Link Match Sources and not Link to Media File. Link to Media File links to the last good file path where the media was actually connected. Linked Match Sources connects the events to the currently matched sources regardless of the file path. Remembering what each of these options do will definitely help. And remember that every step is completely undoable, so don't be afraid to try different things when attempting to relink. Switching back to the timeline area, you can scroll through your sequence and everything should be relinked, even if the media is in a different location. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Premium Learning channel for future videos.